What's up, family? Man, we are on the fourth episode of the iinfluence podcast series, and we got my man, the GOAT, Sean C. Johnson, man. Like, we got him on the podcast for our fourth episode. Man, so I'm just gonna give a quick introduction, man. Sean is a Christian R&B and hip hop musician. I want to make sure that people know you can drop some bars, you know what I'm saying? So both R&B, Christian, and hip hop musician, an NAACP image and Stellar Award winning artist, as really a multi hyphenated trailblazer, with him being a singer, songwriter, and director who has his own very unique vibe, man, and I love it. And an unsuspecting, kind of compassionate demeanor that produces music and films that will really draw you in and really and make it. He makes it engaging in a way that's really unique to his style. He's been in the music game for a long time. He started making music back in 2005 officially. Who knows, like, when it really started?
Yeah.
It might have been way before then. But it's when he started releasing, albums, and he has 5 studio albums. Starting out with Simply a Vessel, which was a volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. Volume 2 was Faithful. Volume 3 was Surrender All, which that's how I got to know who he was.
Okay,
It's
nice.
through those albums, man. So like that go way back for me. Then he dropped Circa 1993, which we're going to specifically talk about because of the impact that year had on him, and sent him in a certain direction. And Circa 1993 has my favorite track. I'm going to say this right now, man. It has Mountains on it. That's my absolute favorite track.
Let's go.
I know you probably hear a lot of people say that that's their favorite track, but it's absolutely one of mine.
It's dope every time.
Yeah, man. Then he dropped Race the Sun, which is a really beautiful album, man. It's talking about love, things of that nature, as well as 2 EPs throughout this time, Joy and Grateful, as well as some other singles that I haven't mentioned that we'll talk about a little bit, later, that he can just kind of unpack for us, man. So like, he's been on the move for the last 20 years. And it's been really dope to follow his journey, man. He also serves as a partner, mentor, and a speaker for Youth for Christ, USA, which I really appreciate, man. I grew up in programs like that, man. So it's really dope to see you, invest your time in that way.
Absolutely.
And then, most recently, the creator and writer, producer, director of the short film Lucky, which, man, I was able to check out, man, and then it just left me just like wondering what's gonna happen.
Yes, sir.
So I really thought that was really amazing, man.
Thank you.
So let's just dig into it, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for those.
Today,
I'm feeling good. I just want to say thank you for those kind words, man. It's crazy just hearing the rundown of all that, man. It's like God, like it really had. It's almost 20 years now, like, and just to know, like, over that time, what I was able to accomplish by God's hands is just, it's humbling to hear it read back to you like that. So, but thank you for that. But I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, man. Like even Prop was saying this, like, it's weird when you're hearing somebody read out your bio, like you don't know what to do while they're reading.
No, it's like, what I do with my hands? What I do?
Yeah, like what I do. Yeah. But it's also like you said, man. It's also like reaffirming, to hear somebody play back. Like, I know you don't get on Google and like Google yourself, like.
Not every day. Not every day.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody done Google themselves at some point.
For sure.
But like, you don't do it every day. So I know it's a good refresher to like hear like where God has brought you, through and from.
Yeah.
And so
thank you for that,
we
man.
trying to open up with that, on all of our podcasts, man. So we're gonna just dig in, man, and I want to start talking about your art. I know how much it means to you. I know how excellent you operate within this realm. And so I just want to I want to, for myself, understand a little bit deeper, like your thought process and like like how do you go about like creating things. And so we're gonna start off with the 3 volumes of Simply a Vessel,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Obviously, being a vessel and you titling the projects Simply a Vessel, obviously that means something to you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like being that vessel, like, and being simply, like I love how you said simply a vessel. It's like
So,
it's not too much.
yeah.
It's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? I'm just simply a
Good way to
vessel.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
you've had that, man, over 6 years.
yeah.
And so what was your mindset and inspiration in like dropping this project, man?
Yeah. So first album, a lot went into that, and I think just every album that I've put out has literally been a time capsule of where I was at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And it's crazy just looking back on it. When I was younger, like I used to journal, and like there was so much that I gained from being able to do that, just processing my thoughts, being able to get it on paper, and just highlighting whatever event was happening in my life and expressing how it made me feel. Like that was a tool that I learned early, and it allowed
Yeah.
me to be able to do that with music. And so literally every album is a snapshot of where I was at that time in my
Right.
life. So it's like it's a journal essentially. Like, and my views have changed. Not that like my faith has always been the same, but just like
Right.
my views on certain things have changed over the time, and you see that as you go and listen to
See
the
it. Yeah.
albums. Like it's
Yes.
literally just a snapshot, but like to your point, like the title Simply a Vessel, it most definitely was special to me because like that's where I was at in my season of my life. Like it
Yeah.
was the first time I was presenting my gift to the world. And I just want
Mm.
everybody to know, listen, I'm just trying to present it
I'm
and
just a
serve.
vessel.
I'm just a vessel. And that's literally
Yeah.
what it was. That was my mindset. And it carried it over through those 3 albums. And like I said, each album I was in a different place. So it was like I was still being a vessel, but it was like God was proving himself to be faithful on that second album.
Right.
The third album, I was just surrendering everything. So it's like
Yeah.
it was just a really
Give it
just
all.
I give it all, and it was like every album was a snapshot of where I was at, and it's like it's really dope just to go back and see how God has number one sustained my faith, but then also grown my faith over that time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just
Yeah.
it's amazing, man. Art, and it's like it's essentially just a journal. It's my personal journal
Yeah.
that I get to share with
Yeah.
everybody. So it's really
Right.
dope.
Right.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love it because like me myself, like I gave my life to the Lord, back when I would say, I was probably in the 9th grade,
Hmm.
in high school. Just
Yeah,
got into high school, was trying to like understand myself, who I
that's
was.
a pivotal
Like I
time,
grew up,
man.
it's a like very pivotal
Yeah,
time. So like I grew up in a church going household,
yeah,
but
same.
my dad, yeah, he may see this, who knows.
Hey, man, safe place.
But like he would just sit us, yeah, like whatever, I'm a grown man now. He would just sit us on the couch,
Yeah,
and be like, "Are you saved? Have you like
yeah,
have
man.
you given your life to the Lord?" And we didn't really know what that meant, like truly,
Yeah,
because we were still like in middle school, like we were young. We didn't know what it meant to live a life
yeah, man.
following God. You know what I mean? And
100%.
until I matured enough, my 9th grade year, I started to see like, okay, this makes sense, and
Yeah,
now I'm gonna make the conscious decision. Now I say all that
yeah,
because over time, my thought process has changed
most definitely.
in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
especially when it comes to like social justice,
yeah, man. Yeah,
injustices like in the world.
100%.
Like
Yeah,
I,
you've been exposed
and
to more.
let,
You have more life experiences to pull from to make
yeah,
decisions. Yeah,
yeah.
to make a
And
decision.
let's
Yeah,
kind of talk about that because
yeah.
I'm just like
You good? Yeah,
flowing right
you
now
good?
with the like how for me like I started to in a sense not really question God, but I
Mhm.
was like curious in the way to where like why I know as chosen people, like, but why are we going through what we're going through
Yeah, that's an
in
honest
a
question.
sense? It's an honest,
That's
like,
a
let me
very
put
honest
up,
question.
put
Yeah,
it out. Let me put it out there. And, and I haven't really had this kind of conversation with many
you
people other
good?
than my wife, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? And my dad once, that was about 3 weeks ago when I finally was brave enough to
I
talk to
love
him
that.
about it.
I love that.
It's like, man, it impacted my faith a little bit because like I had to redefine what it meant to be a black man in America, but then also a Christian. And someone who believed that God has ordained our steps. And so let's talk a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Most definitely.
You got George Floyd, you got all these things going on. Like, how were you able to sustain your faith and like how were you able to just kind of keep that foundation? And then also, when times where you needed to speak up and speak out, like what was that process like for you, I guess I would say?
Just want to make sure you can still hear me. I think for me, that process was a gradual process. It was definitely not an overnight process. And like I said, you can see that on my albums where first album I had a mindset, and then gradually you get to a point where I release a song called Race the Sun. It was in tribute to my great uncle who was a victim of social violence. And releasing that song, early in my career, I probably wouldn't have been at a place to release that song. My theology probably wouldn't have been in a place where I felt comfortable releasing it. And just being even confident enough to release a song like that, talking about that subject matter. But I think just growth, and even, and I shout him out all the time because he really helped shaped my view when it comes to the art. Sho Baraka, an amazing artist. And he said a quote, and I quote it all the time. He said, when it comes to the arts, you can either talk about the light or what the light allows you to see. And like that just broke something in me. Like, like it opened up everything. And it's like, okay, like it's neither one is wrong. Like you could talk about the light source or you can talk about what the light allows you to see. And it's like all of it is good and all of it is beneficial and it has its place. And it was like, okay, I'm an artist. What does that mean to be an artist in this space? And it's like, it took me time to get to that place where I could talk about a subject matter when someone committing violence against my great uncle. Like I never got to meet him. He never got to have family. I never got to meet his lineage, his sons, his daughters. Like I never got to meet my uncles. Like, because it was cut off. And it's like grappling with that. To your point, we were talking about, okay, this violence that happens to us, to our families. And it's just like, how do we grapple with the injustice of that? With the incompleteness of the injustice. We may have some of it now, and some people may get, time for certain things, the actions that they do, but the completeness of it is not here. And I think I've really had to rely on my faith to rationalize a lot of that. And even just knowing, not putting the blame on God, knowing that we have been affected by people's choices. And God has given everybody free will. And that's a gift that he has to give everybody. We're not robots. So with that, I don't want to say consequence, but the byproduct of that is that people make choices. And sometimes those choices adversely affect us. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I've kind of had to kind of land there and just kind of wait on the end result where we will get that justice and we will get Does that make sense what I'm saying? I love how you said, and I've never thought of it like this, which I probably should have. But like I was, kind of like immature in connecting my faith with injustices. And so like it's been an ongoing journey for me. It still is for me, bro.
Yeah, man. And so you said a byproduct of free will. Like that is so powerful, bro. Because like God is in control of keeping things in a certain ordinance. But throughout that ordinance, throughout that, he's provided us the gift with free will. And unfortunately, the free will that is a gift, people take it and use it for negative,
selfish reasons.
Selfish
evil.
Reasons, evil.
All that.
And like you said, a byproduct. Man. If we didn't have like more to go on this podcast, man,
No, that's real. It's taken me time to get to that place, and even still, you're working through that. Like just learning that even on this side of heaven, like I won't always understand everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having to be okay with that, and having
Yeah.
to truly trust that God has good intentions for me,
Right.
and learning where to place that blame, and learning
Yeah.
where that is. So, but yeah, man,
Yeah.
no, it's a
Well,
good,
I mean, it's like the word says, man. It's a mystery.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's a component of who God is. He's mysterious. Like,
100%,
and we weren't given the ability or the capacity to fully understand who God is.
yeah.
Because if we did, then that would, I mean, it
We can't
wouldn't,
contain that, yeah.
we can't contain it. Like,
We can't,
we would
yeah.
die instantly. We're
It's,
out.
yeah, we can't process that, man.
We
Cannot
can't
compute,
process
man.
it,
Yeah,
man.
that's not compute.
So
Yeah,
God, man,
yeah.
thank you for saying that
You
because that
good?
meant something to my soul. You know what
That's
I
good.
mean? Like
Bless you,
a
man.
byproduct of free will, and
Yeah,
I mean that just made sense to me,
yeah.
bro.
I want to
And
encourage you and myself also, and then other people that may be listening. Like, even with that, like I think that doesn't excuse us from doing the work that is necessary that we see
exactly,
here. Like that's still
exactly,
this. Even, and it's funny. I had a conversation with some older couple, and they were telling me, it's like I was getting burned. I was like, what is the point of doing this work if it's like this insurmountable task? Like it doesn't seem like it's
yeah,
ever going to get to a point where we're going to have complete justice. And it's like
mm,
that doesn't negate the fact that the task still needs to be done.
that
Like
still
every
needs to be done.
even a small victory is a victory. Like we have to
Yes,
push. Like we may not see it in our lifetime or even on
mhm,
earth, but it like we're tasked to do the work.
yeah,
Like the work
yeah,
still has to be worked. Yeah, are done.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it, bro. Because like if the work isn't done, then someone else's free will is not swayed in a
yeah,
certain way. Like the
yeah,
work has to be done simply because we
yeah,
have free will.
yeah,
And it's to
yeah,
change the mind
yeah,
and the heart and the soul of people
yeah,
with
man.
free will to do right
Yeah,
and to follow God. It's their will,
yeah, man.
and it can only be persuaded.
Yeah.
That's why influence matters so much. That's
There
why
you
we
go.
call this
There you go.
thing.
There you
That's
go.
why we,
There
you
you
hear that humble plug
go.
right
There you
there.
go.
That's why we call it
That's
our influence,
that's
man.
good
Because
journalism.
like
You tied it back in. That's good. Yeah.
you gotta tie it back in because that's what it's all about, man. It's like making that
Yeah.
commitment to say, like, no, I influence. I influence the people that I come in contact with.
Yeah.
I influence the arts. I influence my business. I influence
Yeah.
my family. Like that
Yeah.
is what life is all about, man. That's why this thing is God given, and I
Yeah.
know God's gonna bless it, man, because
100%.
he's just like it's ministry, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
so funny, dude, how things have kind of just unfolded over
To
time, man.
your
But
point, man, like as an artist, like I feel like that's my task, like to
yeah,
speak on certain topics or to highlight certain issues. Like that is the job of the artist, like to
yes,
find a way to creatively address these issues and to bring them to light. Like
yeah,
even though I
man,
may not see the change immediately, like it may be a slow gradual change, but
yeah,
that's still my task. Like that's still your
yeah,
task, like to provide a platform for these things. So it's
yeah.
like, yeah, man.
To be honest, man, and I think David, David in the Bible was David. He played the harp and he was a musician. But like, I really feel like in this day and time, man, it's like modern day prophets almost. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but artists
Yeah.
in this generation they have the ability to really pierce
Yeah.
the spirit of another person
Yeah.
through their arts.
It's a powerful medium. Like
It is
everyone,
so powerful.
no matter where you're from, you have a favorite song.
Yes.
Like that's, or you have a favorite movie. You have a favorite dish. Like you have something
Yes.
to do with the arts. Like you have
Right.
something that will touch you and affect you. So that provides us a pin or a source of influence. So
Yes.
that's all that
No
is.
doubt.
That's
Yeah.
all that is. Yeah.
No doubt, man.
Yeah,
No
man.
doubt. So like speaking of like where we're talking about like right now and kind of your journey, and I told you like Mountains on circa 1993,
Thank you.
one of my favorite albums. I mean, albums and song Mountains.
Mhm.
But that year, to my knowledge, was very pivotal for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very important. and was not only the inspiration for the album, but I read an article, I think it was on Rapzilla, and you kind of just really unpacked it, and I would hope that you're able to kind of share some of
For
that
sure.
today. But let's talk to us about 1993.
Yeah. No, yeah. That year completely shaped my life. And I mentioned earlier just how like albums for me were a journal. And like how many times as an artist or even just as a person do you get to kind of tell your origin story, like, or just tell how or tell what events shaped you as a person. And I kind of got to looking back on it because 1993, one of the biggest moments or biggest catalyst in my life happened, which was my mom passing. She passed the early part of the year, February of 1993. And that just set into motion a bunch of events that really shaped me as a person. And
Right.
this album allowed me to really go back and really like, okay, who am I? My foundation. Why am I the way I am? Like, why do I believe the way I believe? Why do I like the music that I like? And just like it allowed me to really go back and tell my origin story. And like, I got to rewrite my journal essentially, like from that time, and just kind of tell my story. Like it was just so it was that event and three other events that just like shaped me, and I was able to artistically, it was just fun to really artistically kind of like tell my story and like shape the album and the track list in a way that kind of just told a story. Like, and that's essentially, I view myself as a storyteller. Like that's my, I feel like I have a talent for singing, but at my core, I'm a storyteller. Like I wrote a play before I ever wrote a song. Like so like to me, I'm a storyteller, and like music allows me another vehicle or another outlet to be able to tell stories. So that's essentially what Circa 1993 was. It's my origin story. It's what shaped me into who I am today. So yeah, man.
So powerful, and it's always a blessing to be able to go back and tell your origin story. Like most people never have that opportunity. Because of your skill and your talent and the gift that God has given you, you're able to storytell, in a way that, a lot of people don't have that ability. So it's definitely a blessing.
100%.
But like personally and selfishly, I guess, like I want to know a little bit more about mountains.
Okay.
Like,
man.
Like I said, personally, I want to know because like that track, man, from the intro, which I think is one of the most darkest intros, like that the music that you put together was just like beautiful, bro.
Thank you, man.
Tell me about that track specifically.
Yeah. So Mountains, the origin, actually the initial song started out on a whole different track. It was a totally different track. It was faster, but the melody or the hook is what I kept. I give mountain to you so you can go higher. And I kind of just played with that theme. And I looked at, to your point, you were going back and just asking yourself honest questions about my faith and different things like that. It's like, okay, who I am. And I just kind of look back at this moment that happens, like losing my mom. And I got to asking questions like, why? Why did this happen? Like, I didn't want this to happen. And that's still something you struggle with, like losing loved ones. And you ask these hard and difficult questions, and you don't always get a solid or firm answer that may answer that checks all the boxes. So that's really where that question or this song was birthed out of. It's like, okay, these things, they may happen in our lives that we don't always have the answer for. Like, and I started like, my thoughts are not your thoughts, ways are not your ways. Like, so that's where I was coming from. It was like, I was being as honest as I could without being disrespectful. Like, just like, so it's like, God, like, why is this happening? Like, I see this pain over here. I see pain over there. Like, why is this happening? And it's like, I just got the question, and it's just like, but at the end of it, like I didn't want it to just leave it open and just like, or attract me just complaining or venting. It's like, I wanted to end with hope. And it's just like, listen, like I understand it's hard. I may not understand it, but I'm gonna keep climbing. I'm gonna keep going up this mountain because I know there's better for me on the other side. I'm gonna go higher. There's better for me up there. There's better for me on the other side. So it's like, that's really where that came from. So yeah, man.
And I love the fact that like, if you look at, two mountains and you have the valley, and a lot of times we find ourselves in that valley and then we are intimidated by the mountain that we see while we're in the valley, and it's
Yeah.
like, what, I'm supposed to climb that to get
Yeah.
on the other side?
Yeah, man.
I might as
Yeah.
well stay in this valley
It's
right
comfortable
here.
here, bro. I'm cool right here.
Yeah, I'm cool in this valley. It's cool
Yeah.
down here. I ain't got to worry about no like fear of heights,
Yeah. None of that. Yeah,
But
man.
so I can go higher is the point
Yeah.
of that,
I have to
man.
go through that. I have to
I have
endure.
to go through
Yeah,
that.
there has to be some resistance. There has to be that. Yeah. I mean,
Yes,
you're an athlete.
growth
Like, I mean,
mindset.
yeah, you have to,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to go through you have to get in the weight room and work out. You have to
yeah.
train. You have to do
Repetition.
that. You have to do that.
Yeah,
You got to
you
put
gotta
yourself
get
through that
through.
strain in order to get
Yeah,
stronger. Like, there's no way you can
yeah,
improve without it. Yeah, there's
yeah.
no
It's
shortcut.
it's the only way. It's the
Yeah,
only way. You
that's
got
the
to
only
put
way.
reps in.
Got to.
Like in the reps, like it's the day to day. Like it might get old or boring or
Yeah.
like very repetitive,
Very
but like
mundane. Yeah.
it's what is expanding our
Yeah.
ability to have the strength that we need.
Yep. 100%, man. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, man.
So like speaking of all of that and mountains and how powerful that song was, and we talked about 1993, we talked about like just like your origin story, but like I want to go into two questions
Okay.
that I want to talk about that are very kind of not, I don't want to say basic, but very just like straight into the point of just getting an answer from you, and like so the people can like we're kind of like taking like a little like time out from the art just to let's talk about like what motivates you to share your voice with the world.
Man, that's a great question. For me, like I said, at my core, I'm a storyteller. So I think just expressing my experience, I feel a burden because I have been given a gift. Not in a bad way, like it's not a heavy burden, but I do feel an obligation to serve others. And I think when you think about wanting to be great, everyone wants to be great, but I think the Bible says to be great, you must serve. And I think that's always been my mindset. Not necessarily to be great, but to serve. Like if I want what I do to have an actual impact, it has to be from a servant mindset. And it has to be in a way that actually serves and benefits other people. So that's always been my mind. That's what motivates me. That's what pushes me. Anything I do, how can it benefit not just me, but everyone around me? Like, or how can it benefit other people? How can it edify the body? So that's always been on my heart heavy from the jump, which explains the title. Like, I'm simply a vessel. Like, I want to edify through whatever it is, whatever gift I have, I want to be able to edify. And like, for me, it wasn't just cliche. Like, it wasn't just a rhetoric. Like, it really meant something. Like, it really was a core value for me. And it shaped a lot of my decisions. Like, with my music, like, there were decisions I made that probably would have propelled my career, but I went the opposite way. Like, and it's just like based on that moral, like based on that perspective, and that's where my mind was at. And I just wanted to make a decision to serve others, to use my gift. And I'll say this, like looking back on it now, being almost at 20 years in, like the best decision I could have ever made, because the fruit that I've gained from that is just beyond me. Like still to this day, like people still listen to my music. They still want me to come out with music. Like that in itself, like I could say so much more, but that in itself is a gift, because that doesn't, and I had this thought the other day, like there are literally millions of people with the gift to sing. And like the fact that I have I've carved out a little space where people actually want to listen, like that, I don't take that for granted. So it's like, to me, and I think I want to say it's a lot of that is based on that decision to serve. Like, and I see a lot of those fruits coming back and just kind of, But yeah, that's my motivation, serving.
No, I love it. I love it, man, because like you obviously have an ear to hear, and that's what's most important as an influencer. And like you have to not only hear to listen, in order to know what direction to go in, but then you also have, like, while you're going in that direction, you have to do the work of excellence, really.
It's work. Yeah.
Like, how do I not only, like, I know I have this calling, like, how
Mm-hmm.
do I not just put out junk? I don't want to just put out just like,
Yeah.
crap,
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my next question
Okay.
is like this deeper philosophical like idea about like how do you go from like what you're saying, what motivates you, and the ear that you have to listen to the Holy Spirit and to go in a direction, but how do you connect that to your skill sets and the talent that you've been given? Like, how do you really, as an influencer, like, how do you kind of combine the two? Like, where do they join in, from hearing and listening to the voice
Yeah.
to then also knowing what you need to do? This is
Yeah.
kind of a complex
No,
question.
I know
So,
exactly how to answer it. You're fine. I'm gonna let you
okay,
finish explaining.
beautiful. Beautiful.
You're fine.
Beautiful. Because I'm like, man, I'm chopping this all
You're
the way up.
perfectly
I
fine. You're
hope I'm not
perfectly
looking so.
fine. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, no. So
Yeah,
I
so,
could, if I
yeah.
could give you literally just one word, the cross section of all of that is stewardship. And I think
Mm,
you find the tools that you need to be able to carry out the task when you apply stewardship. And a lot
yes.
of that involves hard work, consistency, perseverance. Um, those aren't sexy words, but those words, you gain so many tools from those. And those
Yeah.
tools allow you to carry out the task. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like when I first started out, I was going somewhere to record, but I was watching them though, and I ended up buying the same program that they had, and I took it home, and I learned it, and I
Mm,
was able to kind of like, so that was another tool that I gained. So that allowed
yeah.
me to be, but that the ability to be able to record at home allowed me to record whenever I wanted to and to release music when I wanted to. My efficiency got better, so I was able to steward the gift better. Just by that
Yeah.
one action, I was able to steward the gift better. So like applying that in just different ways, like, and just don't be afraid of, I, and I learned this from my grandfather, doing the task that no one else wants to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
literally that's where that's where you're gonna gain the most tools and the most assets. That's where you're gonna gain the most
Yes.
ground. Like doing the stuff that everyone else doesn't, because I don't have to wait on anyone now. Like I can
Right.
literally from idea to
So consumption
to conception.
to,
I don't have
yeah.
to. I can outsource certain things, but like a lot of that, I'm the driving force behind a lot of it.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that allowed me to be able to steward my gift a lot better, and to
Right.
be able to gain ground where a lot of people, we may have started out at the same time, but a
Mm-hmm.
simple principle of just stewardship allowed me to kind of
Yeah.
push forward. Like, yeah. So I hope that answers the
That's so
questions. Yeah.
good. I hope
Yeah.
y'all are listening at home.
Yeah. No, it's a simple
I
thing, but
hope, and
it's very
this
powerful. Yeah.
is it, yeah, this
Yeah.
is some good
Yeah,
knowledge,
man.
man, for everybody to understand.
Yeah.
You're not just giving gifts and talents.
Yeah.
You got to cultivate them, and once you
100%.
cultivate them, then you understand how to steward them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stewardship, man, that's so good,
Yeah, man.
because like the reason I knew that I can do a podcast,
Hmm.
right, is because I'm a relationship builder.
Yeah.
Like, I love to have intimate conversations.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just my
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
Over time, I've had enough of these. I produced a mini doc,
Yep.
that never got released, but I
Yeah.
produced a whole mini doc with athletes who are like big time
Yeah, man.
athletes too, which are they're very, very hard to
Yeah.
pull things out. Like,
That's
so
not
like
that's not their expertise. Not their expertise. Yeah.
it's not, it's hard, man.
For
You've
sure.
seen the interviews,
Yeah.
man. Like, when you say the wrong thing as an interviewer, they might pop off on you or whatever.
For sure.
I went through that, and it gave me the ability. Like, I'm not exactly like I got my master's in communication, so like I understand storytelling, I
Nice.
understand broadcasting, to a certain extent. So,
Yeah.
but I had to have the experience to understand like how to sustain conversations like this.
Yeah.
But then, so that's one thing that I knew, like, okay, I can do a podcast. And then secondly, I knew, because during my time at West Virginia, I learned how to edit video. So I'm
Bro.
like, man, you mean to
Bro.
tell me that I can
Bro.
just video these podcasts and I can edit them myself?
Me. by myself.
by myself.
Nobody, yeah, bro.
No, I don't need nobody else to do it.
Yeah, man.
So it's
Yeah,
like, why not stewardship?
yeah,
And it's like, if you
yeah,
have the ability to do something that God has given you the urgency to do, and He's equipped you, and you put in the work to
yeah.
get to put the tools in the tool belt, is what I like to say, man.
It's
If
such
you
a
can
great
whip
analogy.
that thing out, man, and know how to use
Yeah.
it, man, it's all
Yes.
God given, but He gives us opportunities and spaces and places to be able to apply those things, man. And
I mean,
so,
we've heard it in different formats. It's the parable of the talents in a different way.
yes,
Like he gives you one thing, and it's like, okay, how can you steward this one thing and grow that? And
yes,
that's
right.
literally what it was for me. I had a talent for singing. From that
Mm-hmm.
one talent, I've been able to grow that to these other things, and now I'm making films, doing this, editing, graphic design. Like
Yeah,
it's literally that, and it's like God does
yeah.
there's so much wisdom, and
It's
I'm
so
great,
much.
so much wisdom in the Bible, man. There's so much practical wisdom for living, and it's just, yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
it really
yeah,
is,
man.
man. It really is. It
Yeah,
really
man.
is. I'm glad that you mentioned that and brought it back to the word,
Yeah,
because it's like, yeah, that's the story of the talents. You know
it's
what I mean?
literally
Like,
all
what
it
are you gonna
is. Yeah,
do with what you're given?
yeah.
You know, are you
Wherever,
gonna
whatever, no
just
matter how small it is, like take that
right?
one thing, and I guarantee, if you steward that, you'll gain so many other tools. I guarantee it.
Exactly,
I guarantee it.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah, man.
Uh, but let's thank you for that, bro. Like,
Absolutely,
I
bro,
just want
man.
to thank you. That was
No,
that was good. Um, But let's get back to the arts a little bit, and
yes,
I
sir.
want to talk about because I was a little late in the game on this album, because I just, I wasn't aware enough,
That's
I
all good.
guess.
The internet is very big. It's a very big
Yeah.
place.
Um, but yeah, Race the Sun, man, and
Yeah.
I've been like, over the last like 3 weeks, I've been listening to this album, man, and it's just like, dang, he did it again. It's a beautiful album, bro.
Thank you, man.
And
That
but
means a
let's
lot.
talk about it, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is back in 2016, and kind of, just in the theme of like the origin story and what you've been going through. Like, what space were you in? Like, what was the inspiration for the album? And
Yeah.
tell me, like, also, one of your favorite tracks on it, and let's
Okay.
talk about that.
Most definitely. So Race the Sun was kind of it was a different approach to releasing music. I think making albums is really hard. And I think I was doing a lot of touring at that time, and I was doing a lot of events. I was being pulled in a lot of different directions, and I was like, I still want to release music, but I don't have the time or the capacity to release a full album right now. So I was like, okay, what's a creative way that I can still release music and engage my fans and still be able to use all these other little tools that I've been picking up? Because I was really getting heavy into shooting videos at that time and doing all that. So I was like, okay, let me do this. I can do 5 or 6 songs released a month or every other month, and in between those months, release videos to go with those songs. And essentially, the videos would serve as just an overarching story, like a continuation. So basically, like each video would end with to be continued. And it just gave me a creative outlet where I kind of felt stuck before. It's just like I just releasing albums, do a video, do a tour, release an album, release. So it's just like, okay, what's something different where I could kind of like change how artists release music, or just because I think for me, I think I found myself giving in more to the rat race of being an artist than before, and I think I saw myself
Mm,
getting burnt out, and I was like, okay, I can't
yeah,
keep this pace up. So I was like, let me slow it down and not view my music as content but as art. And I think that was the initial genesis, and then everything else kind of came from there. But like, let me slow
mm,
this down and like change the perception of my music. It's like this is art. This isn't just content for people to just consume and then move on to something else. It's like this is took me time to create this. Like it took me months to create this. So it's just like, okay, how can I need to find a way for me to slow this down and still be relevant in this space? And it worked out because I was able to kind of really still be relevant in the space without oversaturating myself, overworking myself
right,
rather.
right,
So yeah, it
right.
worked out. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, and like, it makes sense. Named it racist. I mean,
Yeah.
Like the
No, yeah.
like the sun,
It's the
the
rat race. We
sun,
just chasing and just going. Yeah, it's just
you
like,
know,
yeah,
it's gonna start the sunset. Like, are you gonna chase that? Let's race the sun like that. And
yeah,
man, it's beautiful.
yeah. Thank you, bro.
But
Yeah,
then throughout these and we're gonna talk about it in a little bit, but as far as the name of them, the title of them, they seem that they were kind of connected in some type of way. Uh, yeah, let's talk about those two EPs.
okay. Can you hear me? It was breaking up a little bit. I didn't know if you could hear me on my end.
Yeah, it broke up. It broke
Okay,
up a little bit.
okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, the two EPs. That was me artistically trying to find my sound at that point. I think I was getting to a point where I was kind of getting away from the Simply a Vessel series, and just
Mhm.
artistically, I was trying to find my sound. And I think it kind of landed with circa 1993. Like all that
Yeah.
tinkering and just trying different sounds and expressing myself in a different format. I think when I started rapping, yeah, I started rapping on my third album. So, so it was like the continuation of that. So I started digging into that more, like just
Mhm.
expressing that art form more. So yeah, that's kind of what those albums were. It was just me kind of okay, like let me see what fits. Does this jacket actually fit? Am I comfortable in this space? Like, does this work? Do my fans even want to hear this, or can I create something that they want to hear? Like, so it was a lot of that was it's experimental, and like I said, it all led to me making Searching 1993. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like that brings me to the next one because now this is just my opinion.
hmm
I believe in love, man. I believe in love songs, man. Like it's something that I'm connected to over time. When you look at RL, all of the greats, in the R&B space. But this like this, it kind of
yeah,
sounded like an R&B album. You're talking about love
yeah,
a lot. You know what I mean? And so like that, you know that so love and sing about love that to God anyway. You know what I mean? It's something that God has given us the ability to do within our free will is to choose to love somebody, and you are able to express
yeah,
that. Especially with your intro song, the love song, then many others. After
yeah.
that, um, and we should celebrate like love in our art, in our interactions, and
Most
in our
definitely,
relationships.
most
So,
definitely.
like, talk to me a little bit about like you and your more like R&B Sean.
Yes, sir. I like it. No, that was and we spoke about that earlier, just like not deconstructing my faith, but just like learning to ask those harder questions and then okay, what do I believe? And just gaining a different perspective on how to approach my art. And the culmination of that was ultimately days like this. And it allowed me to really speak from an honest place for the first time in my career, like as an artist, to speak honestly about something that was affecting me and to speak about it from a Christian's perspective. And I kind of
Mhm.
the final nail in the coffin that was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this was when I sat down, I was like, okay, who better to talk about love than Christians?
Yes. My
Like,
point exactly.
who better to
Yes.
talk about it than us? Like, and I felt that I had gained enough tools over the time and enough perspective and enough life experience to speak candidly and to speak in a way where it was entertaining and engaging, but also edifying. And I felt like
Yes.
that's a very nuanced thing to do, and it would take skill to do that. And I think
Mhm.
I couldn't make that album my first album. There's no
Yeah.
way. There's no
Right.
way I'm
Right.
making
Right.
that album. It had to be in later on in my career. So like
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
where I landed with it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's. I mean, I haven't said this, but like honestly, like that's what attracted me to your music, is because like I grew up with either
Yeah.
gospel
Yeah.
or worship music.
Same.
Those were the two.
Yeah.
And then here comes Sean Johnson, like
Yeah.
with this R&B feel, like very unique sound,
Yeah.
but still worshiping and praising.
100%.
I haven't heard. Honestly, I've probably heard like three, and I can't even name them right now. But I
Yeah.
used to listen to them right now. But like I probably can name like or can think about like three, and you're part of the three. So really,
Yeah.
two other like sounds that sound like R&B, like
Yeah.
soulful, jazzy,
Yeah.
just good feel music that was Christian based.
Yeah, man.
And you were one of those. I don't
Thank
even
you for
know
that.
like
Yeah.
how
No, thank you for
it's
that. Yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
No, that's
So
I think
you
we touched on it a little bit earlier, but you spoke about my inspiration, but I think that was part of it too. Like I grew up like you. Like I grew up listening to mainly only Christian music. Like the most secular it got for us was like Kirk Franklin. Like that's the most outside like that's the most outside the boundaries we could go. So like but like being around my cousins, like I was still exposed to other music. Like I would still be able to hear the other music. And it's like, man, that sounds good. Like I'm not gonna hold you. I like this. So I like when I was able to create my own music, I was like, okay, I felt a burden because like music is in itself, you can't go to a piano and play an evil chord. Like it's a tool.
Right.
It's a tool. Like, and it's what it's used for. So it's like, okay, how can I take this sound that I love and mirror it or marry it with good content, wholesome content, edifying content. Like, and that's why I was, and it's taken me 17, 20 years to get to that point, like to work through the nuances of it, because it is nuanced, like, and it's not black and white. There is some gray area. And I think it takes experience and it takes grace to be able to get to that point, to be able to express those things. So, man.
Absolutely. Man. Yeah. It was funny that you said, you were exposed to other music with your cousins. Like we used to get out of school and I used to go, it was like a consistent thing. Like I would go over my partner's house because my dad didn't get off of work. Like either we had like chores to do when we got off school, like mow the lawn, do the laundry, whatever, clean up, whatever. Or I was at my homeboy's house, from like when you get out of school, like 3:30 to like 5.
Yeah. Nice little block window there.
Block. And you know what came on during that time was 106
and Park. That's real. That's great. Yeah, that's a perfect window, right?
Perfect window. Yeah. 106 and Park, man.
You catch all the culture right there.
Yeah, like I got it in that short little hour and a half.
Your little culture. You got the culture little training every week. Yeah.
I did.
That's dope.
So speaking of love, man, you have one of your singles and I want to talk about is called Foreign Language. And it reminds me of, like, speaking of love, it reminds me of like your love languages, and it's like you're like wrestling with this idea like of like understanding what love is, but it's kind of like a foreign language in certain scenarios or situations.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect analogy.
In relationships, man. So what would you like? Let's talk about the track, but I also want to know like what you would say is your love language, and like what are you like most compatible with regarding like love.
Good question. Love language. So my love language, I would say, is words of affirmation and physical touch. Like those are my two love languages, and I think a lot of men we tend to kind of hover around those two love languages. And it varies from time to time, but like for the most part, most seasons, those are my two main love languages. And I think it's weird because I think, and someone probably needs to write a book about this, how we give love and how we receive love can be totally different. Like, because physical touch may not be how I necessarily give love. Like I serve, like, so like I do acts of service, like that's how I best show love. It's through my service, how I serve my other person. So it's like I don't know, it's different on the reverse. Like how I receive it is one way. Like you don't have to do a bunch of stuff for me, but
Mhm.
I don't mind doing a bunch of stuff for other people. Like I give, like, yeah. I don't, does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
makes perfect sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
like because you have to know like where you stand, and then like what you need, but then
Mhm.
also like how do you best give yourself away to other people,
Perfect.
like within those
Yeah.
languages.
What's comfortable for me within those languages. So like that's
Within
been
those languages, right?
navigating that has been
Yeah.
interesting now, especially since I'm engaged now. So like that's been
That's
yeah.
that was
Okay.
my next question. And
Yeah.
so like I see like a spectrum of like love languages. I feel like it's okay to say like yes I am this,
Mhm.
but we also have seasons of change,
Yeah.
and sometimes we need a little bit more of another
100%.
language
Yeah.
than the other one.
Yeah.
But yes, this is where I wanted to get to, man, because like I was pumped. I saw
Yes,
on
sir.
your IG that you had
Yes,
proposed,
sir.
and now you're engaged.
I am.
That was last year,
Yes, sir.
and so the wedding obviously
It
hasn't
hasn't
happened
happened.
yet.
Not yet. September is when we're planning it. So yeah,
September.
September. Yeah, we're
Okay.
about to send out
Okay.
invites and all that stuff. We're planning. I didn't know there was so many moving pieces to planning a wedding.
Mhm.
Had no idea. So
Yeah.
so we're in the thick of
Yeah.
that. We're sorting all that out, and now we're kind of getting our head above water, and now we're kind of getting to enjoy the process a little bit more now. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's talk about it, man.
Yes,
So
sir.
tell us about like the future Mrs. Johnson.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
what's she like? How did y'all meet? You
Yeah.
know, like what made you like know absolutely like this is the woman I want to marry? Like, let's
100.
just have a
Yes,
conversation.
sir. No, her name is Travia Matthews. She's from Moore, Oklahoma. We met through mutual friends at
Mhm.
was it Juneteenth on the East, actually.
Okay.
A good friend of ours, JB, who puts on an event out there on the East Side. He and we met there on Juneteenth, and through our mutual friends, we just started a mutual conversation. Ended up exchanging, I think, social information that night, slid in the DMs.
Yeah.
Went from there. We started a conversation from there, and then she came to an event that I was at. And then we went out as a group afterwards, and then the conversation just kept growing and growing from there. Then we went on our
Yeah.
first date, and the moment I think I kind of knew early on because I'm there's an age difference between us, but and
Mhm.
I think for me, I was a little more set. I knew what I was looking for, like.
Yeah.
And as we were talking and conversing, she was just checking the boxes. She was just checking.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
think for me, it was more so than anything, I knew what I did not want. And I was very
Mhm.
comfortable in that. And just respect was very big for me. That was a big thing for
Yeah.
me. And that's something I never had to worry about with her. And it's like, it settled that part of me. And then when I knew that she was the one was when I saw how she treated her family, like how
Mhm.
she loved them despite anything. Like that's okay. It was like that's if you have the grace to love
Yeah.
family, like you can love me. Like and the grace that she shows me and the respect that she showed me, it's like this. Yeah, man, and
Mhm.
she's cute as a button. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it just worked out, man. So yeah,
Same for me and my wife because like we were dating and we were starting to get serious and
Mhm.
like you said, you know, checking boxes and not that like I have a sheet of
Right,
paper and like
for sure. But it
I'm
was
gonna
just
talk
what
about
was comfortable for me, what I knew I could deal with, and yeah, yeah,
sense for myself and comfort to the interaction and then man I ended up like I spent like a couple months my wife's Canadian
okay,
um but she's also Filipino.
okay,
And I spent some time with her, just with her family, and it was just like,
Mhm.
you know, I didn't grow up in the type of family structure that they have, you know, and they've been through a lot. Like her, just like you, like her father passed when
yeah,
she was younger. But the love that I saw within their family was crazy, bro. And I was like, this is what I want my future family to live like.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like, she's the one that can, you know, that can bring in that type of, because I
yeah,
haven't really experienced it yet. Like
yeah,
I had
man,
very, you know, disciplinarian dad,
yeah,
you know, my mom is just the absolute goat
Yeah,
just
bro.
like how she loved her kids, bro.
Shout out to moms,
Crazy.
man.
She will do anything
Yeah, man.
possible that she needs to do. But
Yeah.
our family dynamic was a lot of drama. You know, we
Yeah,
grew
man.
up not having a lot, so that brought in more drama. You know,
Yeah.
and still to this day, you know, money's always some type of issue or like just
Yeah.
like the struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
But like I was able to see like a family in her, like a family that like genuinely loved one another and did whatever needs to be done to create this
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah, man.
And then it was like, no, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it felt like home. Like, it's too comfortable. This
Yeah,
is
yeah. I was
I'm
like,
not
oh,
going
come on,
anywhere. Like,
Mom.
I'm not going anywhere, man. Yeah. No, that's, I mean, yeah,
Yes.
same, bro. Yeah. Exact same,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Yeah.
So we only got a little bit more time,
Okay.
but like last but not least, man, we haven't talked about your most recent project,
Okay.
you know, Lucky.
Yes, sir.
Um, award-winning short film you created, wrote, directed. So I just want to hear about it, man. Like I watched it, and you know, it just kind of left me wanting for more, like wanting more. Like what's next? Like what's but you know, tell us about that creative process, and then
Yeah.
like managing, like just like really owning
Yeah.
the whole thing. I know you had like probably had contractors or consultants or like people to come in and do certain
For
things, like
sure.
handle certain items. But like in a sense, like it was you, it was your baby, like
Yeah.
really leading the charge. Like tell me about that experience for you, like, and you know what you learned from it, or what was the challenges, or
100.
whatever it
Yeah.
may be.
No, it was in one word, or in short, it was the combination of everything that I've been doing as an artist. Like I was able to really use or every tool that I've had to gain over the years, whether it's from graphic design to even recording the video, the editing. The one thing that I did end up having to outsource just because I wanted that professional polish was the editing of the sound. I
Mm,
had to get that edited elsewhere, but everything else was done at my desktop or editing or from uh, like from the sound to recording the sound to editing. I had to wear all those hats, but I had the tool in my tool belt and I knew how to use it. And so it wasn't a strain. It wasn't like something I had to learn on the fly. I already knew
right,
how to do it. And it just made that
right.
process actually fun. Like it made it like engaging to kind of bring this world to life. And so like I said, I'm a
Mm,
storyteller. So to be able to really have all the tools in my hand to literally any idea that I have up here to bring it to
right,
life, it was euphoric almost. It was just like, okay, like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
literally able to see these characters come into life, and I'm able to tell these
Mm-hmm.
people, okay, I want to put this setting and to see it in my head, and then to actually find the venue and to like set up the place and put the characters. Like it was
Yeah,
amazing. Like, but it
right,
was just, and
right,
even on the like to be able to do to include the music aspect of it too. It was just like it tied in everything. Like I was literally able to use every tool in my tool belt. And it wasn't a strain because I already knew how to use the tool. And it was just like,
right.
this is fun. This is actually fun
Yeah,
right now. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
man.
That's beautiful. Um, just out of my curiosity, how did you go about, like, they may be friends or people that you had to go and find, but like,
Hmm.
how did you come up with the cast? Because
Yeah.
I think they did a great job.
They did an amazing job. Some
Mm,
only I think one was a first time actor, but everyone else
okay.
had experience in acting. Crazy enough, one of the young ladies, she was in a short film or a web series that I did for my music. So it's just like bringing in
Hmm.
that world. It's like, okay, this is someone I made. This is a connection I made in this world. Let me bring it in this world now. But it was just again all those tools that I picked up I was able to pull from the resources that were around me. Like I didn't have to go outside and try to reach above me. I was able to network horizontally.
Network.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to
Yeah.
network horizontally, which I think is the best way to network. Like trying to
Yeah.
network vertically, that's it's like rolling the
Come with
dice.
that.
It
Yeah.
comes with like there's an imbalance. So it's like you may
Hmm.
be in service to them. It's like what value do I provide? But if we're on the same plane, we provide value
Yeah.
to each other. So it's allowed me to really able to pull in my friends to what I'm doing and we bring each other up. So it's
Yeah.
beneficial all around. So yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, no doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt, and that's been my approach.
Yeah.
Ironically, because like you talking about networking horizontally,
Mm-hmm.
like we have like you are our fourth.
Mm.
We have 20
Yeah.
influencers lined up for this podcast,
Out the gate.
and out the gate,
Bro, that's
and they're
amazing.
all people. They're all people that I have some type of relationship.
It's a valuable currency, man.
It's a valuable
It's
currency.
so
Like
valuable. Yeah.
social capital, like
Yeah.
people don't understand how important it is,
Yeah.
man, to know that when you are trying to do something and you know you got people that believe in you and you
Yeah.
can just reach out and tap them and be like, bro, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Would you be willing? You know, you yourself made that commitment, which I definitely
Yeah.
appreciate, man. You didn't have to
Absolutely,
give us
bro.
this time.
No, you're good.
Like
But
that just goes to show, like what you were saying as far as like networking horizontally, like it works.
It 100% works.
It works.
Every time it works.
Did you feel any pressure with, you know, finalizing this film, like this short film, and like just the pressure just of like producing it the right way, or like any pressure like, you know, people were gonna accept it or anything like that?
No, yeah, I definitely felt that. I mean, I think because I cared. Like I cared about the project. Like I wanted it to be good. I didn't want it to just be, because I think I was aware of the perceptions, like, oh, this wasn't what I was known for. So this was something new. So I knew I was working against that. So it was like, okay, I have to steward this well. Like I have to be excellent. And I don't think it was bad pressure, but it was good pressure in a sense. It's like, okay, I have to be for real about this. I can't just take a shortcut. Like I have to apply hard work, consistency, perseverance. I have to learn how to use this camera. Like I have to do that. Like I can't skip the steps. But the end result was more than worth it. Like I want to make more films for the rest of me. Like I found something that I'm really more passionate about outside of music, and I still get to do music with it. So it's a win-win. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you had 630. Right,
yes, sir.
That was kind of like the feature, like track for the album. How did that connect to the film?
Sorry, I had to. My battery's about to die on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We'll do this like this. So, my bad. You asked me how did
630 connect to the film? Like, what was kind of like your thought process behind that?
So if you watch the film, there's a scene where the girl, the female lead, Nina, she's a producer, and she's actually making the beat that's that ends up becoming 630. So that was a little topic that I wanted, a little Easter egg, if you will, that I wanted to be in the song or be in the film. But the song itself was because this was during the time when this was during quarantine. Like this was coming out of quarantine. So it's coming, it slowed down, and I needed another outlet. So I had plans for this music to put out another little EP or something like that, but I just kind of shut everything down. So like, man, let me rest. Let me take this time to rest. But it's like I still have this song. And it's like, how can I get this music that I don't want to just put in the vault somewhere and actually incorporate it? I had to find a way to incorporate it into the film, and it just worked out. It was a good way to kind of like bring those two worlds together. Was like I can release a short film and music, so I'm not abandoning one audience to go chase this other audience. So
no, it was nicely put. It was nicely like integrated, like in the right way. I think, and it just really just continually like just showed off your talent, your gift of like combining things and creating magic. You know, creating like high art. You know, so I thought it was really cool, man. So we're gonna wrap this thing up, but one thing that we ask each of our guests, you know, to kind of put out into the world, you know, whether you've thought about it before now or not, but it's really just a power statement that we ask, you know, for you to essentially fill out this statement. I influence blank. So it's like, I'm Sean C. Johnson and I influence blank. Like, what is that blank for you?
Okay, let me take 2 seconds to think about it. Think about I influence. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You go ahead whenever.
Okay. My name is Sean C. Johnson, and I influence art.
Yes, sir. I kind of felt like that was
That's what
gonna.
I'm
Yeah, man. The
yeah.
artist. I'm gonna start calling you the artist, man. Like you. Yeah, God has gifted you in a way, man. To like, I always like the idea of high art. Like
Yeah, man.
it's like this next level of just like not just
It's not the
you
surface
know
level. Like it's actually
it's not surface level. It's not casual.
yeah,
It's in depth.
100.
Like it's deep and it pulls out things that are like under the
Yeah.
surface.
Music, art should
That,
challenge for sure. Art should definitely challenge. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
100.
And and that's what your art has done for me, man. And so I want to thank you, bro, like for this session, for
Yeah, man.
just who you are as a human. I
Well,
appreciate. I appreciate your commitment to ministry. I appreciate your commitment to utilizing the gift that God has given you. I appreciate so many things about you, man, and just now I appreciate the fact that you joined us
yeah,
for
man.
this podcast, man. So
Thanks for having me on here, man. This is dope,
episode
man.
4, we got
Dope, man.
Sean C. Johnson, man, on the pod.
So,
I just want to say thank you, bro. Stay in contact with me, man, and I'll be hitting you up and I'll let you know when this is gonna drop, man. So like if you feel free to repost or whatever, we're probably gonna add you as a collaborator on some of the short clips that we're gonna edit.
it's perfect.
So whatever you can put on your profile, your accounts, like of course it's much appreciated.
Okay.
But yeah, man, you have a good night, bro, and let's stay in contact.
Definitely, man. Thank you for the conversation, bro. You have a good one.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.